Hello everybody, my name is Matthew Bonino with Media Industries, and in today's security awareness briefing for new hires, we're going to be going over the acceptable use policy. This briefing for the acceptable use policy is going to go over the acceptable use policy's purpose, the scope, the security of information, improper use of that information, and compliance with the policy. The purpose of the acceptable use policy for media industries is intended to outline acceptable behaviors when utilizing the computer systems of the company. This is going to go over when it is appropriate to send information to and from colleagues or outside third parties, as well as utilizing the information you use in your day-to-day at the company in the proper way. Misusing this information and the computer systems can lead to harm for media industries. This would come from third-party legal liability or breach of contract, something along those lines. There's also the potential for a security breach if that information were to get into the wrong hands and used with malicious intent. So the scope of the acceptable use policy is intended for both physical and non-physical information that is owned or operated by media industries. So that will be paper files, physical devices such as your desk or your offices, as well as non-physical such as computer systems and computer information, data that is located not in the physical world. Employees of media industries are expected to use good judgment in regards to all of the information maintained by media industries. The intention of this is to not have any employees utilize information that would negatively impact the company. Security of information. Overall, the acceptable use policy dictates that passwords are not to be shared between users, and they are to meet complexity guidelines. This would be having uppercase letters, lowercase letters, numbers, symbols, and stuff in your passwords, and those passwords are not to be shared with other people. This would all be outlined in a password policy that we have here at the company. Company confidential information should not be shared to third-party providers without the consent of the company. This would be any confidential information that the company uses in order to conduct business that is not for the use of third parties. There may be times when it is appropriate to share internal information with an external third party, but that would be on a case-by-case concept where the company agrees to provide that third party with that information. And this acceptable use policy would apply also to mobile devices that are connected to the media industry's networks, and they would also be needed to be compliant with a minimum access policy, which would be something that outlines the necessary encryption requirements for that device, so that information that is media industry's information on the mobile device does not get released improperly. Improper use. For no reason should any employee engage in any illegal or illicit activities. This could be anything from providing somebody with information that they know they shouldn't. That would be fraud, knowingly doing something, or engaging in any other activities that would be deemed illegal. Anything that the United States, where we are domiciled, would be considered illegal. Also, using company email to engage in harassment, the origination of junk mail, or any other malicious behavior is prohibited. This is also ties back to refraining from illegal or illicit activities. You shouldn't, as an employee of the company, do anything that in any which way can harm the company while using company resources. And here at Media Industries, we allow for the use of social media so long as it doesn't violate any of the policies that we have in place, and it does not affect your work duties. So you can use social media for your personal use. However, as long as it doesn't affect your work duties, you are free to use it. And as long as it doesn't conduct anything illegal and you're in compliance with the rest of the policy, you are free to peruse your social media. Being compliant with the acceptable use policy would be governed through regular audits by our information security compliance group, who would audit and enforce the aspects of the acceptable use policy. Since all computer use is monitored here at the company, the information security compliance group would be able to recognize behavior that is unacceptable by the acceptable use policy. Any employee found to be in violation of the policy may be disciplined in any way we seem fit. This would include, but is not limited to, being terminated from your employment here. It is very rare that that is carried out, but if there is illegal or illicit activity that is being conducted through the use of the company resources, then that might be the only avenue there is to take care of the situation. So that some next steps: as new employees, you should read through the acceptable use policy, which is located on our website. Once you have read it and understood it, you should sign and acknowledge the disclosure that we have for new employees, saying that you have read and understand the acceptable use policy. In conclusion, the acceptable use policy outlines how the company's resources should be used. It's intended to keep confidential information and computer systems secure here at the company. Any employee found to be in violation of the policy is subject to disciplinary actions. And just some resources for the future. If at any point during your employment you have any additional questions, feel free to reach out to your manager or your local compliance officer. And if there's any updates to this policy, you'll be noted by your employee email of any updates that need your attention. Thank you for coming by today, and I hope to see you again in the future. Bye-bye.